Hi everyone, this is Dango here from Rocky Valley server. In this video, I'm going to introduce how to build Gizarof for APEX Arena. So how to build Gizarof? So first, about if you should use Runestone on him. Actually, I don't really think you need to use Runestone on Gizarof because the 3 skill that you will always carry on Gizarof in APEX Arena is basically this summon construct, and then this faction buff, Swan Song, and then this Dark Dragon Breath. Basically, you will only carry these 3 skills to the battlefield. Very rarely you will need other skill. If we check the skill that he gets from this Mad Scientist land, you will have another very huge AoE range skill, and instead of cast a random debuff, it will cast a defense decrease by 20%. So in some rare case, you may use this skill over the Dark Dragon Breath, but in most case, you will just use this Dark Dragon Breath, because this random debuff can be strong debuff like silence or heal block, or unable to be buffed, this kind of debuff, which will be much useful than just decrease enemy's defense. So yeah, so this is basically what skill you should bring with Gizarof. And yeah, as I said, if you use him, you really don't need to spend like 2 or 3 runestone on him. Actually, he don't need to be in high star to be useful, because what he usually do in the battlefield, and later I will show like how do you use him in like one real battle. But what he really do is to just cast this faction buff, and then use this summon construct in second turn. You will always use this summon construct after you cast a faction buff, because the units that you summoned will have exactly the same attack, intelligence, defense, magic defense, and health points with your Gizarof. So after you cast a faction buff, your Gizarof has increased all the stats, and it will carry over to the units that he summoned. If you summon the units before you use the faction buff, then the summoned construct will not have all these boosted stats. So you will always cast a faction buff first turn, and then use this summon. And then the other skill that you will use is just this Dark Dragon Breath. This is a very long CD skill. What it means is that you don't want to use this skill until you and your enemy engaged in battle. When you use summon strategy, as we discussed in an earlier video, you actually want to sit back and wait and see what your enemy do, and then decide what you do. Now you will only use this Dark Dragon Breath when you already actually fight with your enemy. So like when you already know you will engage a battle with your enemy. Only in this case you will use this Dark Dragon Breath, because it will only you will likely just use this skill for once in a battle. It has a very long CD. So in this case, the recommended build for Gizarof is actually to use a clock build, and the gears you can try to get at maximum. You can just focus on intelligence and don't focus on others, because this and the main reason is actually because this intelligence will carry over to the construct that Gizarof summoned. So you actually want to use the summoned construct to attack your enemy, especially in later games. And these summoned units will get stronger and stronger after your Gizarof do some attack. So this summoned units is actually pretty strong in later game, in later battles, like after 7 or 8 turns, they become useful. So you want to stack as much intelligence as possible for Gizarof, not for Gizarof to deal damage, but actually for his summoned his summoned units to deal damage. And the other reason that you don't want to focus on other like defensive part of Gizarof is that your enemy will not likely to target Gizarof. Like if their Zerida can kill Gizarof, they may still decide to not kill Gizarof, because if your Gizarof die, all of your friendly units will have cooldown to -1. So basically, if they kill your Gizarof, and then Gizarof will become summon a construct that has exactly the same stats with your Gizarof. So basically, it means that they kill nothing. But I mean, yeah, and then you will also get benefit from all of your friendly units cooldown -1. So in real battle, Gizarof is someone that your enemy hates to kill. They will likely try to kill your other units first before they try to kill your Gizarof. Yeah, because Gizarof is just very annoying when he is killed. So you don't really want to focus on much of these other units. You can see my gear for Gizarof sucks because I have too many of the health points, and I could have more intelligence instead. So yeah, so I don't need to worry about Gizarof's health point or defense or magic defense. I just want to stack as much intelligence as possible. And in this case, the recommended enchantment for Gizarof is basically this clock, because as we said, usually you just bring this one like huge CD skill that you can only use one time per battle. If you just use clock in enchantment, and if the clock can be triggered, then you can cast this Dark Dragon Breath 2 times, and that means like 2 strong debuffs. And if you're using a miracle staff, that can means even more debuffs. So that can be a very good for Gizarof. For other enchantments, Gizarof cannot really deal high damage. So magic enchant is not good. And as we said earlier, Gizarof is not one of the targets that your enemy want to kill, so any defensive enchantment is also not going to work. Like Full Moon not working well. Full Moon is okay because it also boosts your intelligence, but not as good as like Clock. It's just not as useful as Clock. And then Breeze is not useful because Breeze try to increase the damage, which Gizarof has no damage to your enemy. Even with Breeze, you can deal very low damage. So Breeze is not okay, and yeah, and other blue enchantment and green enchantment, basically you don't use that. So this is basically how you build Gizarof. And one thing that you may notice that for Gizarof is that he needs Omega to unlock his force bond, and this is not a huge problem also because, as we discussed earlier, I mean, this force bond is based on health point and defense and magic defense. You just don't need these stats on Gizarof. What you need is this attack and intelligence and skill bond, which can be all unlocked by Lemata. So if you didn't pull Lemata in the previous banner, there is going to be a focus banner that you can pull her soon. So this is not likely to be a problem. But the other problem is that if you want to unlock his third bond, you have to upgrade Gizarof's class to Mad Scientist. But actually, for me, I think for the purpose of APX Arena, you don't really need to unlock his third bond, and you don't really need to unlock his hard bond also later. His hard bond and third bond provide you some extra damage and some extra defensive skill, but as we discussed earlier, Gizarof cannot really deal high damage. Like you were talking maybe about like 3000 damage versus 5000 damage, which is not very huge, and people don't really want to kill him. So yeah, so these bonds here not very useful. you don't have to worry about this bond at all. And if you don't unlock this bond, you will not be able to unlock his heart bond, which is also not a problem. So yeah, so this is just a Gizarof. So Gizarof is very strong, and he is strong at even higher star, because if you can get him at higher star after he died, his construct will have more random renovations, and those random renovations can make your summoned construct very annoying. But like I said, he is useful even at lower star. Like if you cannot pull a 6-star Gizarof, 3-star Gizarof and 4-star Gizarof is very useful in APEX arena. And later I will just show you how I use Gizarof even at 3-star. He's already pretty good. Yeah, that's all I want to talk about Gizarof.